that will make it work and produce benefits for the people of the country.
And as we get ready to get into some detail in oral, if you're just joining us, this is the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana, who is gladly, indulging us because his attitude also has been that he wants to be open and frank and accountable to the people of the Republic. Dominic Akuritinga, Ayine, he's answering some of your questions. And I realize that as we put out the flyer, many of you, your concerns had to do with oral. There is more to what they have to do than oral, but we'll take some time on oral. Critics say that you are aggressively pursuing opponents to recover loot, while at the same time, you are freeing individuals who are associated with the NDC. Do you regret your early decisions involving, nolly prosecution filings and the famous 60% plea bargains?
No, I don't. And something, you've known me for many years. If I don't believe in something, I wouldn't do it. And when I came into office, I did an objective professional assessment of all the pending cases. And remember, I keep reminding people that I was involved on the other side as defense attorney, right? If I didn't believe in the innocence of my clients, I would not, in some cases, I would not have, participated in, as part of their defense team, okay? So I had an insider view of most of the things that happened. So for instance, you take, Saglemi, okay? Saglemi, by all standards, was poorly investigated, all right? And the charges were poorly thought through. I'm saying this with all due respect to the people who drafted the charges, to the, state attorneys who were involved. I believe in their professionalism and I respect, their knowledge of criminal law a lot, all right? In fact, some of them are better than I am when it comes to criminal law. But I did an objective assessment. And so I give the Saglemi case as an example. Now, if you look at the case, they were talking about $200 million, all right, of funds, that were misused or lost to the state as a result of the actions of the persons who were charged, including my then client, Collins Dowda, all right? Well, we did an assessment of it. Collins Dowda was charged with causing financial loss to the tune of $200 million. But Collins Dowda was in the ministry for a very short period. At the time that he was leaving, only $94 million had been expended. Okay, so, something tell me, by what stretch of imagination can you charge a person like that with, with causing financial loss to the tune of $200 million, except to say that maybe his actions that, he took in office triggered the entire loss, all right? If you cannot directly attribute the entire loss to him, there was no point charging him with causing financial loss to the tune of $200 million. But that wasn't even, as bad as saying that, he issued false certificates, okay? A minister does not issue IPCs, interim payment certificates, all right? The interim payment certificates are, issued by the consultants who go to the ground, assess the work done, all right, value it, and they say, look, this is how much, the state ought to pay to this person. Yeah, and then they are the ones who then write to the minister, and the minister just writes to Minister of Finance to say that, look, this IPC has been presented, please go ahead and pay. So unless they are saying that the minister ought not to have taken the advice of the consultants, okay, then you cannot attribute the false character of the IPCs, all right, to the minister, okay? So I did an objective assessment of
the minister
all
has supervision.
Yeah, you have ministerial responsibility, right, for your sector.
That's right.
Right. But when it comes to, technical matters, such as, a construction project, you have technical people working on and advising the minister. So I don't know by what means a minister is going to be able to say that this IPC ought not to be paid because it is false. I mean, that it does not reflect what is on the ground. When you have AESL, a government, a designated or a entity that does the professional work of consulting on government construction
ultimate
projects.
Responsibility, the buck stops with you. If you have to do due diligence to ensure that some wrong does not occasion us loss, and you fail, you should take the responsibility for it.
Well, I do concede that you should take responsibility for it, all right? But, criminal liability is specific. I mean, can you actually say that the intent is attributable to the minister when you say that the certificate is false, right? What about the person who issued the certificate? Why were they not being prosecuted, as a result of, the determination by the then Attorney General that these certificates were false, all right? So the point I'm making is that I did an objective assessment of all these cases. And of course, if you take, Cocoa Board, the Opuni trial, I mean, as a lawyer, I'm sure you were following it. There was, reasonable doubt, a lot of doubt as to whether or not, right, the persons who were standing the trial were actually, criminally liable.
The question people have asked is, why don't you leave that decision to the court?
Well, if I have assessed a matter, okay, and I have come to the professional opinion that this ought not to have gone to trial in the first place, there's no point wasting the state's resources in conducting a trial when I know that down the line, all right, the state is going to lose. That will be reckless. That will be professionally, and in fact, it will be unethical on my part to assess a matter, come to the determination that there is reasonable doubt, the evidence doesn't stand up, and then I say, okay, you know what, just so that I satisfy, the public, let this, continue. No Attorney General should be conducting himself or herself in that way.
The rules of ethics bind you in that regard.
Yes.
That even when you see that there is exculpating evidence,
I have to turn
some
it over,
form of evidence that will lead to the person you are accusing being freed, you should let them have it.
Yeah, I will have to turn it over to them.
Right. Nonetheless, there was loss, and the case is now gone forever.
Well, okay. So which one are you talking about?
Saglemi.
In the case of
Saglemi.
Saglemi.
Yes.
Okay. So the loss was actually estimated by the then Attorney General at 200 million, right? What they did not do, which is also very important, was to take a value of the built environment. That was never done. Okay, so it isn't as if the entire 200 million was not spent, profitably towards the project, right? Buildings were erected, the glazing was done. In fact, most of them were completed, road network, electricity and everything, all right? A diligent investigator, a diligent prosecutor ought first of all to have valued the built environment and then come to a determination as to how much was actually spent. Then you can say that if it falls short of the 200 million, then you say, okay, so out of the 200 million, only 50 million was spent on the built environment. 150 million was lost to the state. And so we want to recover that, want to prosecute people for that. And you have to deal with it with specificity. So the consultants, and persons who were responsible for, the construction and so on and so forth, like, the contractor will all have to, take responsibility for it. Okay, so yes, the case has been, terminated. Currently, the Works and Housing Minister is doing some work with respect to Saglemi, all right? I had asked that they should do value for money, and if they do the value for money and any loss has been caused, we will take it up from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting to know.